be posted after maybe 30 or 40 minutes. But meanwhile, let's go with the live stream as we wait for the video. So thank you so much for supporting the channel, and I encourage you to keep watching my videos too, apart from the lives and vlogs that I'm to work on. Thank you so much. In the house, we start with Guinea-Bissau. Of course, Guinea-Bissau is one of the countries that has experienced a lot of attempted coups for very many years. And yesterday, it came about that the incumbent president was, his headquarters were, stormed by the army of Guinea-Bissau, after which they had to keep him under their own protection, according to their claims. And later on, we have seen the soldiers seizing power and indicating that they are doing that to protect their country from invasion of drug lords and many other invaders from foreign countries, among others. So I appreciate your presence here. Thank you so much for showing up. And as we proceed into our discussion, I hope everything is well. Of course, I've been watching all over the nation to see what is happening from Kaspul to Nyamira to Magarini and different other zones in Kenya. We start with the information on Guinea-Bissau because it happened yesterday right in the evening in our country. And within the headquarters of the president, there were gunshots which were heard. People were running for their life, after which we saw the army taking over power and declaring their leadership over there. While you have hundreds of people are feared dead in Hong Kong because of the rise of complex fire. So maybe you can start with that before we get to Guinea-Bissau, then we'll proceed on with others. So let's look at this.
But with nearly 300 reported. It first swept across bamboo scaffolding surrounding several blocks of Wang Fuk Court in Tai Po, where large-scale maintenance work was underway. As evacuation teams pushed through thick smoke, residents kept arriving late into the night, desperate for news of missing family members.
My wife was still inside the flat when the fire started. I told her on the phone to get out. But once she left, the corridor and the stairs were all filled with smoke, and it was all dark. She had no choice to go back inside.
A fire this large is now triggering major questions. Police are investigating whether exterior building materials helped the flames spread. 3 construction company executives have been arrested on suspicion of manslaughter linked to the use of flammable materials.
Everyone knows this material is inflammable material, right? And could potentially escalate the spread of fire. And it's suspected it may be one of the cause to cause the spread of fire so quickly.
Meanwhile, hundreds of displaced residents are sheltering in a government-run community center, unsure whether they still have homes or loved ones to return to. Deadly fires once plagued Hong Kong's crowded neighborhoods, but decades of tougher fire safety rules has made these far rarer. This blaze has shattered that sense of security and left a city asking how a modern high-rise complex could burn this fast and cost so many lives.
And journalist Selena Chang is joining us live now from Hong Kong. She's on site there where those buildings have been burning. Selena, is there still hope of finding survivors there?
The search and rescue efforts are continuing. I think as of 1 or 2 hours ago, the latest death toll was around 55 people, but more than 200 people are still missing. So this is very much a developing situation. There are already a lot of survivors that were found, and of course, everyone in the 4,000 people of the state would have died, but yeah, this is very much an ongoing.
There's already been some accusations and charges, in fact, leveled at individuals that they are portioning the blame to for these buildings burning up so fast. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, the government has arrested 3 people who are directors or executives at construction contractors who were responsible for the renovations, for the exterior renovations and scaffoldings. They were arrested on charges of disclosure, but it's unclear what the details of the investigations are. And the Anti-Corruption Agency of Hong Kong, the ICAC, has already started their own task force to investigate fully the potential corruption that was involved. This is because the housing estate.
So it's very unfortunate that when it comes to housing, people don't care what material they use. I'm just imagining if this happened in Kenya or somewhere in my country, what would happen? You know, like using flammable material on a building. What is that? So the Hong Kong has had so many people dead. In fact, currently hundreds of people fear dead because of a building that just caught fire, and you know, it ran so fast in a modern you know, city, Hong Kong, and within a short time so much was burnt down. So it's unfortunate, actually, very unfortunate. Scott Maker 91, welcome in the house, and thank you so much. So look at this, guys, look at this. That is a fire consuming a building that fast.
In the quiet afternoon hours of Wednesday. A distraught 71-year-old man stood crying in the street, insisting that his wife was still inside one of the burning towers. Many others waited helplessly outside with no idea whether their loved ones had escaped. Authorities raised the incident to level 5, the highest fire alert classification in Hong Kong, as crews battled towering flames and showers of burning debris.
Guys, that is very traumatizing. Actually, I feel for the families whose loved ones have been trapped in the fire in Hong Kong building, a modern building that you wouldn't expect it to be going down so fast. So, Playmaker, only God, only G. Yeah, so I hope that God will protect those families. He'll give them strength and all that to persevere this, because it's quite traumatizing. Now let's come back to Guinea Bissau before we come to other events. So Guinea Bissau, of course, yesterday was encountering a coup d'etat, and the officers decided to, they are saying they decided to do this as a way to just protect the president. I don't know how true this is, but let's look into the matters of the coup d'etat in Bissau. So Bissau has experienced a coup. This is not the first or the last, maybe, because all the time they have been taking control. They have been trying to take control of leadership or authority. So yesterday, of course, officers had to take over, military officers had to take a total control of the situations. And it happened just at the moment when, in the evening.
Right now, a coup has been confirmed.
Held
second term, Iran against opposition content. Crowds of people with.
Hello, Simon Spadon. Guinea Bissau, there were gunshots heard at the president headquarters, after which people ran for their life. And later on, it came about that the coup was conducted by the army, and they start to say they had taken control or charge of the country just to avoid being controlled by foreigners and the drug lords. So let's get into this, and we'll be analyzing as we go by.
Crowds of people were seen running from near the presidential palace just days after general elections took place. Let's have a listen to that. Crowds of people were seen running from near the palace. Two candidates have claimed victory ahead of the release of results on Thursday. The incumbent, Umaro Sissoco Embalo, is seeking a second term. He ran against opposition contender Fernando Diaz and 11 others. Let's go to our correspondent Nicholas Hack, who's live for us in Dakar in neighbouring Senegal. So, Nick, what exactly are you hearing about this coup?
Well, we heard from this press conference held at the military headquarters, where a group calling themselves the High Military Command for the Restoration of National Security and Public Order effectively said that it discovered an ongoing plan to destabilize the country, saying with the participation of drug barons, and the aim was to destabilize the election results. Presidential election results were supposed to be announced on Thursday, tomorrow. And so they're just taking over power just as those results were going to be announced. Two main contenders, the incumbent president, Umaro Sissoco, and Fernandez Diaz, both claiming victory. Now, we don't know the whereabouts of the president, but what we know is that the presidential palace is heavily guarded as we speak, surrounded by the presidential guard, and we have the military deployed. There is fear that there could be ongoing violence. So during this communique, they announced that air, land, and sea borders are closed and a curfew in place in the country. Malin?
Nicholas, give us some context here, because Guinea-Bissau, one of the poorest countries in the world, in Africa, what does this mean now for ordinary people in the country?
Society claim wasn't free and fair. The main political party of the country, the PAIGC, wasn't able to have a candidate in this election. And so it was really Embalo Sissoco, the incumbent president, against the opposition contender, Jose Diaz, who was really trying to bring change to this process. So even though the polls were held under calm circumstances, as the election results were coming out today, we saw both contenders claim victory, and that's where the military stepped in.
Yeah, did we hear of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, just a few days ago, who were observing the election, praising the election, saying that the whole process had been incredibly peaceful. So the developments that we're seeing now, will they have come as a surprise to most people, to most observers?
Yeah, that seems to be a discrepancy with what civil society says, of course, and this is one of the accusations that many people in civil society say about the West African.
All right, so that is Guinea-Bissau for us. Of course, we know yesterday it happened in the evening that the army decided to invade the president's position and, put him under protection according to them and control everything. And according to the claim, it is that the incumbent president and the candidate who was running in the opposition were both claiming success, just as it happened in Cameroon, Cote d'Ivoire. We've seen in other nations too, and it happens mostly in Africa. So it is like politicians kind of play with the freedom of the people. Voting is not a right anymore. It's something that is imposed, maybe a game. At 92 old, you can imagine is leading Cameroon currently, and the election just conducted recently, and he went through. And so the coup is something else for a country, because when it happens, the economic sustainability of a country is not so well. And we hope that the situation here will improve. Indeed, if they are saying they are guarding or protecting, we hope that whatever is going to happen will be a situation to save the country, not to take it to the dogs, they say so. So remember Bob Marley's song about Africa and unity of Africa. I don't know how long this will take, because we've only seen Ibrahim Traore trying to facilitate unity between Burkina Faso and Ghana. But rigged elections are common practice, and you find that the head of ECOWAS and all that cannot really do much, because even the process itself of taking over the leadership of ECOWAS, you hear it had issues about rigging and all that. So an electoral coup is always conducted every now and then in most of the countries, if I can say. That is why today I'm doing this video collaborating what we can see in Guinea-Bissau with what we can see in Kenya by elections. A lot of electoral, rigging, or rather electoral coups are conducted all over the places with violence, injustices, and threats, suppression happening all over the place. It's unfortunate that most African countries have, decided to give in to poverty and situations that don't really serve their purpose, because as long as few people, especially leaders, are satisfied, then that is it. They will qualify a country as being rosy, a land of everything, and everything is going right. So currently, Guinea-Bissau goes on with the army coup until later. They may inform us otherwise. However, we are so sorry with what has happened in Hong Kong, with a fire that has had to blow up a whole storage house built in a modern way. I didn't imagine that a building such as that would have flammable material to allow the burning to happen so fast. It's so devastating, right? Anyway, let's get back to Kenya and watch over different places at what's happening. Of course, the police are blocking youth armed with clubs in different places. And one of the places was Agorosare. We saw Agorosare where the police were trying to block the with clubs. I don't know whether they were from indigenous place or elsewhere, but God forbid, because whatever happens with the youth being empowered to be violent is not such a good show. We also look at Kaluma in Kaspul, whatever he tried to do, and he was attacked by citizens. So we'll be looking at these two before we move on. Please, to the channel and consider to like the video and also comment. Thank you so much as we proceed on with these captions. Alright, so let's get to Kaspul and see what happened right there.
Faiza ni sawa, polisi ndio wako pale, mazee wanakontrol vijana. Kama hapa wapi timu kumebadilika tuna na sawa Faiza, wewe si kwa wewe Faiza. Ngoja kidogo. Naona channels.
All right, so that is the area, and of course we are told Kaluma was attacked in the process, so the chaos in Kaspul were on another level. And let's watch more on this.
From Nairobi, and they're very dangerous people.
At the Kasipul by-election escalated dramatically after Homa Bay Town Member of Parliament Peter Kaluma was attacked by a mob at a Gorosare polling station. The MP, who was present as an ODM observer, was surrounded, confronted, and physically assaulted. sustaining visible injuries to his head.
The station where I am the observer for the ODM immediate. And you can see I'm designated. I've been attacked by Rocco with a team of police. They have gone with the gun for my bodyguard. And you can see they have told me. And he's the one who was telling me to hit me when I'm there. And I'm here to wait for our ODM candidate who is on the way to vote. That is what we are waiting for. He's arriving here in 5 minutes. This is not acceptable. I want to tell our people to stay come out and vote.
His bodyguard was overpowered, injured, and lost his firearm during the confrontation. Videos captured at the scene show the legislator attempting to retreat as the crowd advanced toward him before police intervened.
Is walking with from Nairobi, and they're very dangerous people. And I'd alerted the CS to this. The CS spoke about it. We've even given their names. These are robbers and very dangerous people from Kibra, Madare, Ruaraka, Kayole. There are some from Kisumu. There are some from Migori. So what has shocked me is that I've been attacked as police are watching. In fact, I was standing with the police officers. So I wanted to request that if there are instructions that the police connive and be complicit in chaos for whatever reason, we want to request the IG and the minister that the police need to be much more firm. I have not reacted, okay, because the intention of these people is to suppress voter turnout.
The attempts at voter intimidation, bribery accusations, and authorized party paraphernalia inside polling areas.
But I've been really hoping. I'm an observer. Check me if I have even a coin. Those are the gimmicks they usually use to attack you. But this is an Morocco scheme. And let me tell you that the day is very dangerous. And the targeting they are bringing as a full master. That is why we want to pay back in terms of peace. Don't fight back. If I wanted to fight them back, they would be here. And that is what they want. They want to discourage people from coming to vote that day.
The by-election follows the When I emphasized that intimidation cannot be allowed to dictate electoral outcomes and called on national security agencies to move swiftly in response, security has been intensified. Officers have mounted roadblocks, frisked incoming voters, and patrol designated hotspots. While officials insist the measures will guarantee safety, residents expressed concern about delays and fear of reprisals. With investigations now underway and tensions high, the Kasipul by-election stands at a crossroads between a legitimate democratic exercise and a violently contested.
All right, so that's Kasipul for you. Of course, Kasipul started its fight earlier on. So when KALUMA was beaten in Kasipul, it was an expected situation because he had already whistleblowed earlier. And I don't know, the whistleblowing process is not really saving the situation because even yesterday we had a lot and the government did not move fast to help. I don't know, for whatever reason. Now let's get to MALAVA and see what is happening over there because we are from Kasipul, then we need to move to MALAVA, go to Magarini, then we'll check on other sides. So, of course, currently MALAVA elections are still going on, but it was messy early in the morning, just as the Prado by Eugene Wamalwa was torched down, and we had almost 10 buses showing up with strangers, one of whom was caught and interviewed only to say he had been sent by Stanley Libondo to come and interfere with the process of election, especially Panyako's votes. Now, of course, from yesterday up to today, Eugene Wamalwa is still insisting we have 10,000 pre-marked ballot papers that are supposed to be stuffed in the ballot boxes. And it will be after creating chaos, kind of, that will allow the police to, look as if they are protecting, while the civil, those dressed in civil way will stuff in the ballot papers. Now, I don't know how true it is, and how complete does the police force feel they are? Because if an economy is going down, I think it goes down for everybody. If anything is not adding up, it doesn't add up for everybody. And therefore, I don't see how the police would actually be celebrating this. But it's unfortunate sometimes it happens in our own country that you find some a group of people celebrating the current situation. Anyway, let's check on MALAVA as we go by.
MALAVA wasn't ready for this. Election day, and instead of a peaceful vote, Kenyans were shocked to receive news of an opposition candidate being arrested in broad daylight. Minutes after sunrise, Seth Panyako is dragged into a police vehicle like a criminal in his own country, while voters stand frozen, unsure whether they are witnessing law enforcement or political enforcement.
It's me. Tomorrow they'll come for you. Hii ni polisi. Habari raia. Bunduki ndio imepita hiyo. Hiyo ni bunduki. Hiyo ni bunduki. Ndege ipo sasa. Imebaswa hiyo. Hii ndege ipo sasa. Hii ndege ipo sasa. Imebaswa hiyo. Hii ni bunduki. Hii ni mpini. Mpini. Ndio inatoka kwa gari ya polisi. Hapana. Hii ni mpini. Hakuna na mama yake na baba yake, wacha wanandi watawale Kenya. Wacha sisi wawachie. Wacha wanandi watawale Kenya.
Overnight, armed goons stormed his hotel, killed his gatekeeper, terrorized his family, and injured his supporters. And now he's behind bars. The town is burning, and Kenya is asking, if voting needs protection from the state itself, what exactly are we choosing?
Niwekee chaja kompyuta inazima Ona sasa. Yeah, so of course that was Panyako trying to make a lot of noise because he was intimidated. He was arrested he was attacked in his own hotel, and they almost had to do away with him. Fortunately, they didn't make it to do away with any family member, but they were able to attack the driver, and I think stabbed him. He's currently in hospital trying to resuscitate. So let's just get more videos of what we are showing here. Yeah, so it's unfortunate whatever is happening in the country. It's not a very good face, and of course what I see is an attempt to intimidate the voters, because voters cannot turn up in an intimidating situation. So when they try to get to some polling stations and do what they are doing, of course many people will even fear to turn up and vote, and that exactly will be enough to let maybe the electoral process seem like it was okay when it was not, and then the stuffing will happen, whereby of course matching the number of registered voters, it will happen as if it was okay when it's not, you know.
Seth Panyako, the Democratic Action Party Kenya candidate, arrived at Malala police station around 10:15 a.m. His mission was simple: report a night assault on his downhill hotel. Instead, police officers surrounded him.
Wewe sikiliza, maisha ya Wakenya ni muhimu kuliko mimi. Maisha ya Wakenya ni muhimu kuliko mimi.
Seconds later, cameras rolled as officers shoved him into a police vehicle. No warrant, no explanation, just raw authority. Outside the station, DAPK National Chairperson Eugene Omalwa spoke with a fury reserved for betrayal. This is not an arrest. This is a political kidnapping orchestrated by State House. They failed to finish him last night, so they're silencing him on voting day. The crowd gasped. Some cried, others filmed. Democracy, it seemed, was being detained along with Panyako.
The government machinery together with the criminals, it's my lawyer's case government, together with the criminals attacked my hotel, which was also to be used as a personal tallying center. And the aim of the attack, as the intelligence had refused earlier, was that His Excellency the President of the Republic of Kenya, through Farouk Kibet and Nabi Nabwera, Stanley Livondo and Rashid Echeza, had been instructed clearly to come and assassinate me with my wife. Because I know the part leader told you that I was doing 52%.
What unfolded hours before the arrest reads like a script from a dictatorship. Just after midnight, a convoy of unmarked vehicles blocked both entrances to Downhill Hotel. Marked police Land Cruisers were allegedly part of the escort. Masked attackers stormed the premises, armed with machetes, clubs, and guns. They weren't stealing phones. They were hunting a man.
So it's unfortunate when, electoral process and a by-election for that case becomes this chaotic. Like it's a date and death, life and death matter. Whereby now state machinery is used, state capture conducted, and intimidation process conducted. I don't know if this is happening in 2025 by elections. What will happen in the elections in 2027? Because this is just the beginning of the very big situation ahead of us. So looking at the intimidation and frustration that has happened to Panyako, of course, voters will be frustrated and reports going all over the place. And within that confusion, of course, if there is these ballot boxes or papers that have been stuffed, then they'll finally land there. We are waiting for the results, or rather the end of the voting process, but automatically we understand when a process is already, infiltrated, the possibilities of having a clean election may not count here. But anyway, that is how much everything went on to in MALAVA, with an outrage going on. Panyako even having to, cry literally and shout around. But all that is meant to intimidate, because if they attacked his home yesterday in interest of destroying the entire family, and failing to do that, now he comes to report a statement on the attack and he is mistreated, then he's shoved into the police vehicle. Of course he's not being arrested, but it's just a political intimidation, because UDF feels like they must win. They must, According to them, they must win the seat of MALAVA, the seat of Mbeere North, and Magarini. Then the rest can rest. But even as you can see in Kaspul, everything is not right. And it's unfortunate for such a country that recently we saw the president talking about democracy and referring to democracy as a nation that allows people to say anything as they would wish. But anyway, already Esther Passaris told us yesterday that our president is a dictator. So it is expected, right? Yeah, so let's come and check something else here. That is Eugene Omalwa's Prado that was burning up moments after he had encountered Echesa and Livondo Stanley.
Not okay for our experiment. We just need our keys. And given
Funiko curtain, kuna light nyingi.
Naitwa Elfas Mbiaga Mkwami. Mimi mkaji hapo hivi Manyonji. Na mambo yenye tumefanyia leo hata si hatujafurahia hata kidogo. Wenzetu tulikuwa natoka nyumbani kuja kupiga kura. Tukidhani ni kura ya amani. Kumbe ilikuwa kura ya vita. Tafadhali tunaomba serikali, kama serikali iko karibu, iangalie mambo kabisa. Hapo vijana wenye wanafaa bunduki, kuna wale hata wanakuja na mampini, si hatuwajui. Mpaka mwenyewe kiongozi mwenyewe amefalia lakini tunamjua. Awachane na hii kura ni ya Malava. Hii kura yuko Mmias. Akipenda tu. Hata rais penye yako akisikia. Tafadhali awachane na hii kura. Rashid Echesa ndiye amekuwa na watu. Na sisi tulikuwa tunaenda kupiga kura. Si hatukuwa na mambo na vita.
Now I looked at this guy when he was explaining that he didn't intend to have violence, and the president should just leave this. I was like, do you know whom we are talking to when you are speaking like you are urging? In Kenya, things are not urged. You've seen how the former, opposition leader Raila Odinga struggled all his life, and because of urging and listening and waiting and hoping, he never got to be a leader of the real president of the nation. He was only the president of the people for all that time. So it's unfortunate that in Kenya you can't urge. You cannot use urging, pleading, and all that, because frustrations, intimidations are right there to make sure that you don't get it. If you are not violent, I don't know. So anyway, so the people tried to explain whatever happened. They indicated that that car was banned after 10 vehicles that were supposedly coming to attack, or rather pour young people into the villages, were turned up. And of course, they have not gone anywhere. That's what I believe. And that is why they are trying to arrest Panyako and also create chaos, so that in the process, these guys will just come there and frustrate the voters, whichever way it is. And of course, they understand there are about 5 stations they know which can count up to those 10,000, votes. And maybe that is what they'll use now to frustrate the entire process. But let's hope for the best. They always say God is watching in all this. But I don't know. When it comes to elections, sometimes God does not try to intervene. They said we wanted human leaders, and so we'll experience it in the worst way possible. So let's listen here again before we get to more information.
Na kufamia hii kari yenye naungua ni ya mheshimiwa Eugene Wamalwa. Wakapika marisasi juu nini, watu wenye walikuwa watroa. Sasa tumeokopa, si bunduki tunaokopa kidogo. Ndio mmoja mwenye kuni ile ilikuja nini kuwasha gari kibiriti na kuweka ndani. Walitoka kwa hii gari briefcase 2, sijui ni ilikuwa ni ya pesa ama ni ya nini sielewi, na wakawasha gari moto. Hiyo harakati ndio kidogo rabza nini na magari sasa huyo mheshimiwa Napisi kachukuliwa kutoka mahali zilikuwa zimeenda na hiyo watu wa msafara yenye ilikuja, na wakachukua wakatoka wakaenda.
So you've seen what happened at Kaspul, a gun that was actually taken away from the bodyguard of KALUMA. You've again seen in Malava, they took briefcases from Eugene Wamalwa's car. So I don't know. They may stuff something in it and take ahead and say that was what was there. But let's see. Now, of course, Silvanus OSORO was also beaten in Nyamira. Let's just check on Nyamira, and then we can go to Magarini.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen.
Now, of course, we are seeing CS Murkomen, unlike in former situations where we always see that a party has the voting going on and then they wait to guard their votes. We can see Moses Wetangula and CS Murkomen insisting that people should just vote and go home, and they have no business to roam around the, the voting place. So, Banisa by-election, meanwhile, is said to be ongoing smoothly. We don't know. Yeah, still in Malava, of course, they say there is allegations of Natembea being also arrested or rather abducted, and it created protests here.
Faiza ni sawa, polisi ndio wako pale, mazee wana control jambo. Kama kwa hapo huko umebadilika tu na sawa Faiza. Wewe si back ngoja Faiza.
All right, so all those chaos are going on and deadly violence are in Malava, of course, with some kind of protest and resistance, because people feel like there is a serious problem, because their leaders, especially those who are standing with the opposition, Natembea, whether it is George Natembea plus the rest, are being arrested. So they feel unfortunate about whatever is happening right there. Now let's see. Banisa, according to Banisa by-election, they are saying that we had technical challenges and they're using a manual voter register. A manual voter register, which is very questionable according to the current situation in Kenya. So when you see that arrest of leaders actually in the opposition, what is happening? Because you cannot tell me that Panyako can be attacked. Then instead of arresting any other person from the other end, they are arresting now those who have been close to, those who have been close to Panyako. We are not able to see Halwale. We are not able to see who else. Of course, the rest are in other places. And then what they are doing is to frustrate the voters right in Malava. Goons with machetes and rungus coming in places and all that. Yeah. In fact, in Ekerenyo, we have seen in Ikonge police station where they have arrested some goons with machetes and rungus. All right. And we have chaos erupting right there. So let's see it first. My goodness. So you actually can see you are witnessing that guy with a lot of rungus. Rungus are actually sticks just made like something that can even help in digging a farm or something like that. And machetes in Ikonge polling station. You've seen those guys being escorted there with that kind of thing. And we have a lot of, chaos at MALAVA, which are continuing currently. And of course, there are not physical confrontations ongoing.
Welcome to the Rogers Kakas.
Anyway, let's check in Mbere North.
At the social hall here in Chicago, where there was a scuffle, and just like you've mentioned, former Public Service Secretary Geoffrey Ruku and of course Leo Mudende were here earlier on to cast their ballot, and so did also the Democratic Party leader, that is Justin Muturi, the former AG, who was here, and he raised a number of issues in regards to a number of issues. One, talking about voter bribery, or another thing, he had issues with the MCA of Chinga, who had shown up here being an agent, but unfortunately he was donned in the UDA party colors. These are some of the things that brought a little bit of a scuffle here, but as you can see, things are cool now. The voter turnout, just as I mentioned earlier on, as we cannot expect it to be the same way usually we do in the general election, so we do not exactly expect all the 55,000 voters here registered in this constituency to be voting. And as you can see, there are some people who are voting here. The process, as you can see here, you begin where everything is checked out. If it's checked out, now you are allowed to go to the polling booth, and after that, and as you can see there, the voter exercising her cardinal rule, and actually after that, of course, there is a mark, that the permanent mark, that is semi-permanent mark, that is usually put there to ensure that you do not vote again. To be specific, after we are done here, we'll be heading over to St. Bakita Girls, which is the main tallying center for the three wards here, that is Mumenje, Evurore, and Dao. And after that, we will be waiting for the results here. As you can see, also the media, we have been pitching camp here since morning because, as you have rightly put, just like we have seen in some parts of the country, both parties pulling on their side, talking about voter bribery, talking about
So voter bribery is one of the things that really frustrates the election process in Kenya. And I don't know how soon or later it will end, but it's one of the chaotic scenes that we witness in every moment's election, because people believe so much that they can buy votes. I don't know. Whenever they give that money, they demand even people to take pictures of whatever they voted for and come out and receive more. And of course, suddenly, as far as some people may not take it, others will automatically take it. So this is what we had Murkomen saying.
The polling station. Just listening to this madness. Once you vote, go home. There's no business that you are protecting any vote. We will not allow loitering around polling stations in the name of protecting votes or canvassing. Once you finish with, go home, wait for the results. If people go home, here's what you can expect.
So automatically, with the chaos and fear over the results, I don't know what is expected of this election process, but I can be so sure that it's not a clean election. It's not. It's not a clean election, and everyone can see. If you can't see, then you're blind. Automatically, what might happen is that people want people to go home so that the the shortcuts are conducted,
hata walete nuclear missile. Wakenya hawatambui utoto gari twenu. And everybody in Mbeere North is saying one term. Those armored cars will not be voting, my friends. Number 3, there's a group of goons that was dispatched yesterday night to visit DCP candidates in their homesteads to clobber them, possibly even to kill them. Just check out this post from Rigiji, and I quote, "I am now without an iota of a doubt persuaded."
All right. So Rigiji, of course, has continued to share a lot of messages with the entire, country. And it happens that if Seth Panyako was attacked, we have seen also Rigathi Gachagua was, not Rigathi Gachagua, but Maskonde in Narok was also visited. And I don't know many others, maybe they have not revealed. I don't know whether the guy from Mbeere was also visited, Karish, or even in Magarini. Because from the message shared by Gachagua, this is what is coming out to the light. So Rigathi Gachagua said, "I am now without an out of doubt persuaded that this regime has gone mad and has lost its moral compass. Throwing caution to the wind, heavily armed police officers and state-sponsored militia have stormed the home of our DCP candidate Douglas Masikonde Honorable in Narok Town and violently attacked him and his agents who are undergoing training. It is now clear that plans to stuff ballot papers are complete, and our agents are being intimidated to subvert the sovereign will of the people. This is an attempt to deny people of Narok Town and their constitutional right to elect a candidate of their choice and to force UDA candidate upon them. I appeal to the people of Narok Town to stay calm and turn out to vote despite the many hurdles being placed in their way." So I don't know. Kenyans currently are going through a lot of things, including economic difficulties, social difficulties. So I'm telling you, if they understand that the voting process is going to be violent, they'll avoid that area as much as they can. They don't want to lose even the little life they have, because that is all they have. You can imagine going to a place and losing a hand. What will happen? Currently we have hands, but we are not even able to make enough for ourselves. So what about if you lose a hand or a leg or an eye? And of course it's evident. One of the group members from Seth Panyako, who lost kind of intestines, were, infiltrated. Then you look at KALUMA, he is bleeding. And you look at maybe Maskonde, I don't know the extent of, of damage that was conducted when he was attacked. But it's very unfortunate, Yeah, so see how people are actually communicating to the government. If I was the government, I could just keep quiet and begin working. Maybe the rest of the years would save their situation, but forcing people on them, it is just preparing us for the worst election in 2027. Actually, whether we like it or not, be ready for the worst moment possible in 2027. And of course, the international world is observing and seeing what is happening right here. And Kuria also raised an alarm over alleged attacks on polling stations. Let's see this. Yeah, he said tension high in Mbeere North as Moses Kuria claims polling stations. So you can imagine Moses Kuria. There is a time he was protecting or happy about the use of that, there is this use of the manual voters register. He was so happy about it. Did he know that at once he will be out of the government again? So this is what he actually posted. Hundreds of vehicles without number plates ferrying goons and crude weapons in Bere North. Goons attacking polling agents on their way to polling centers in Bere North. To disrupt the by-election viewed as one of the most competitive races in Kenya. So of course all of us are really watching closely what is going to happen in Malava, what is going to happen in Kaspul, what is going to happen in Bere North. And I'm just waiting to see something about Magarini, though most times elections in a coast have never been violent at all. Yeah, but then wait until you reach Mumbuni North, because we had some election going on in Machakos, and see how Alfred Mutua is chased away. So that is Alfred Mutua sent away by the people. Hey, Jesus. So you see, Alfred Mutua went to vote at Kasinga, at Mumbuni, that is Mumbuni North, in Mumbuni North. And when he went there, he was literally chased away, people telling him this is a wiper area. So when I look at this kind of situation, guys, I just don't know what is going on. It's not a rosy picture, right?